Many businesses are finding it harder to trade in this economic climate.
No, Laura, it's Brexit. It's because of Brexit red tape that British businesses are finding it hard to trade, which is making the economic turmoil worse.
Now, the government's due to impose extra charges, maybe more than £40, on goods coming in from the EU from October.
This is another Brexit reality. Red tape, which they avoided putting in place for imports, which they now have to bring in, which means more costs, more inflation for consumers.
Might you consider delaying that, or is that definitely going to happen?
Well, this is something that we're looking at in the round. We need to make sure that we have a level playing field for our businesses, for our exporters, and making sure that they're not being undercut by other countries. Obviously, we recognise this is very difficult. We also recognise that there is high inflation at the moment. There is a cost of living crisis. So we're not going to do anything that's going to make things harder for people. That is the guarantee. But within the specifics of what's happening at the border, that's not something that I can go into because we haven't finalised the arrangements, but we are aware of concerns. We're taking them into account. And I think what I would want your viewers to know is that the government is making sure that we are trying to lift the burdens off people and not put more burdens on. Okay. And that means making sure that we're not undercutting our own producers from imports, but also looking at prices for goods across.
So Kemi Badenoch just confirmed that for the last 2.5 years, British farmers and producers have been unfairly treated by Brexit reality of facing checks for our exports and no checks for European imports coming into Britain. WTO rules mean that they do have to bring in these checks because there is meant to be a level playing field, and there is not a level playing field. But then there's a dilemma. If they bring these checks in, it means prices will soar, and also there'll be more friction and problems and delays with food arriving here, which will see food shortages. But there is another solution, which no one's talked about, and that is joining the single market. By joining the single market, we get rid of this awful red tape for both sides. It becomes a complete level playing field. Our food standards will also be secured and safe. Our food supply will also be guaranteed, much more guaranteed than it is at the moment. And right now, with the global food crisis, that is a very sensible thing to do. Added to that, we will get freedom of movement back, and that will ease our labour crisis in Britain. And the pound will soar, and that will help to fight inflation. Our pound will be more powerful. It'll be able to buy more. We'll get foreign investment to come back again. All of that will help growth come back. So the answer is to join the single market and the customs union as quickly as possible.